Newfoundland's east coast has been a pleasant surprise. After spending almost 2 weeks on the mountainous west coast, our expectations regarding scenery skyrocketed. We heard that the east coast was perhaps not as nice, less mountains and more rocks. With these images postulating in our heads, we were fully prepared for a less than spectacular experience. Finishing our time in St. John's, we knew Heart's Content Cable Station was the next stop on our trip. But before heading straight there, we wanted to confirm the stories about scenery on the East Coast, and thus began our trip around the Irish Loop. Encompassing the entire area south of St. John's, we quickly learned that the eastern shore may be different, but it's no less beautiful than its western counterpart. Our first introductions to Heart's Content Cable Station even before setting foot on site. We had spent some time at Signal Hill National Historic Site in St. John's. It was here the first transatlantic wireless message was received. What does that mean? Today, that would equate to receiving a text message from Europe without the use of a phone. It was a remarkable feat. Not to be outdone, the technology seen at Heart's Content was special in its own right. It connected Europe to the New World in a way not thought possible, with a cable that spanned the entire ocean. Heart's Content was settled in 1753, when 91 brave souls decided to call this place home. Before then, as early as 1679, this location was frequently visited due to the rich bounty one would collect from the oceans here. While people were restricted to living off the land here in Newfoundland, places like Europe were erupting with technological advances, especially in the area of communication. Morse code was being developed and was quickly becoming the best way to send messages from one place to another. In 1854, a New York entrepreneur created the New York, Newfoundland, and London Telegraph Company. It was his mission to connect Europe with Newfoundland. By 1856, a cable was run connecting Newfoundland to New York, but that was just the beginning. Jumping back several years to 1853, the New York, Newfoundland, and London Telegraph Company used research done by the U.S. military to help plan out the route of a cable. The USS Dolphin had mapped out the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean from Newfoundland to Ireland and found one section called the Telegraph Plateau where a cable could be run. So how would you run a cable from one side of the world to the other? They began with 2 ships, one starting in Europe and the other in North America. Meeting in the middle, the cables would be spliced together, and then each ship would head home, lowering cables into the water as they went. Things didn't go quite as planned, however, as the first 3 attempts failed. Finally, in August of 1858, the cable was connected to Trinity Bay, securing the North American portion of the cable, and completed the connection with the other end in Valencia, Ireland. This amazing feat was short-lived, however, as by October, the cable was dead, preventing any transmissions between the 2 continents. 7 years later, in 1865, they attempted to lay the cable once again. This time, they enlisted the Great Eastern, a ship large enough to carry the entire 2,500 nautical miles of cable. Once again, tragedy struck when the cable was lost, just 600 miles from Newfoundland. In July, the connection between Europe and North America was complete, this time for good. So what did this do? Well, at the very least, it allowed news and information to get from Europe to the Americas, and allowed for stock market trading to occur between New York and London, which helped stabilize the prices in both markets. In addition, it allowed for more coordinated shipping routes to form between the countries, and improved weather prediction as information could be sent immediately from one location to the next. With this new technology, life in Heart's Content drastically changed from a humble fishing village to a grandeur town. as those working for the telegraph station were very well paid. This created a bit of resentment, however. As for those not working at the cable station, they were excluded from things like properly funded schools, private company doctors, and owning the larger homes. Things really picked up in Heart's Content in 1914, the time of World War I. The cable station went from employing about 80 people to over 300. The cable station was finally closed in 1965. By this time, communication by phone was taking off. Today, the cable station remains as a beacon to its past life. Much of the original machinery remains on site, and if you go outside, just across the street from the cable station next to the water, you can find the remains of the original cable, which ran all the way from Ireland. Yeah, if you were able to walk on the bottom of the ocean, across the Atlantic Ocean, and you could follow this, it would take you to Ireland. Heart's Content is an amazing piece of history. Why not join us on a tour of this awesome location? Find out more on our website at joshuatravelguy.ca. Also, why not do us a favor and share this video? Because together, we can share the world.